Last night, a judge's home went up in flames. Her name is Diane Goodstein, a circuit court judge from South Carolina. You've probably seen the video of her house completely engulfed in flames by now. It's an absolute miracle that no one died. The judge, she happened to be out walking her dogs at the time, but her husband and son were rushed to the hospital. I don't know what their condition is as of right now. Officials are saying it's under investigation, and it's been less than 24 hours, so I'll give them that. But the timing is interesting. She just blocked the federal government from accessing South Carolina's voter data, a decision that drew fury from this administration. And then days later, her house explodes into fire. Whether or not this turns out to be arson, the timing itself speaks louder than any official statement ever will. This isn't one judge's tragedy. It's part of a pattern that tells us how dangerous it's become to disagree with this administration. Over the past few years, judges have been stalked, threatened, and vilified, not for corruption or breaking the law, unlike some other people, but for following it. When judges start to fear their own rulings, the rule of law stops being a shield and starts feeling like a target. More than 100 judges have now signed letters to the Attorney General, Pam Bondi, warning that threats against them are escalating. I'm sure Pam will take it up right away. Most of those threats come after rulings that anger someone in power. That's how obedience replaces integrity. Think back to 2020. I remember reading this in horror back then. A man dressed as a pizza delivery guy walked up the front steps of federal judge Esther Salas's home in New Jersey. When her 20-year-old son Daniel opened the door, he was shot and killed instantly, and her husband was wounded. After Daniel's murder, Judge Salas became an advocate for judicial safety. She fought for legislation to protect other judges' families, and still, years later, people are sending pizzas to judges around the country ordered in Daniel Salas's name. Late-night deliveries being brought to their homes without a note or an explanation, just Daniel's name. That's not a prank. It's a way of saying, we can reach you too. Watch it. This isn't random cruelty. It's a strategy. And I hope it doesn't reach another judge who is in the crosshairs right now, Karen Immergut. This past week, she ruled against Donald Trump's attempt to deploy the National Guard to Portland, Oregon. She said the administration's justification was untethered from facts. Within hours, the president mocked her publicly and questioned who would choose a judge like her. Well, you did, Donald. That's not a policy disagreement. That's the president trying to punish a judge for doing her job. When leaders call judges corrupt or disloyal for doing their jobs, they aren't just undermining the courts. They're giving permission to those who see violence as loyalty. And once that permission takes hold, it doesn't stay confined to courtrooms. It seeps into everything. Every institution that still believes truth matters becomes a target in a culture built on intimidation. And here's the part that terrifies me the most. After enough threats, after enough families are doxxed or swatted or burned out of their homes, silence starts to feel like safety. We're already there. People write to me every day saying they're afraid to speak out. Regular people afraid they'll lose their jobs, their safety, their friends, so they don't speak. That is how we know democracy isn't dying, it's dead. And we're living inside what comes next. I want you to really think about that. We are living in what comes after democracy. This week it was Judge Goodstein, before her Judge Salas, before her countless others whose names barely made the news. And tomorrow it could be anyone who refuses to serve power over principle. We don't get to pretend this is normal. We don't get to shrug it off as politics, because when threats against judges become background noise, justice is already compromised. Don't look away. Don't let these stories fade by morning. the fire in South Carolina, the pizzas sent in a dead boy's name, the public shaming of a judge who dared to rule by the Constitution. They all belong to the same story, a story about fear as a weapon. And the only antidote to fear is collective courage. Courage from judges who still rule on the truth, courage from journalists who still report it, courage from teachers, workers, and citizens who refuse to be silent. Silence protects the abuser, never the abused. And history remembers who spoke and who stayed quiet when the flames spread. If this moment feels heavy, that's because it is. But history isn't written by those who surrender to fear. It's written by those who look straight at it and keep speaking anyway. So keep speaking. I will sign off with this, as Dan Rather would say, courage. Be as courageous as you can, and I will too.